Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Cypher from Siphon TCG, and today we have our double deck tech of Ira Scarlet Revenger. Is it Scarlet Revenger? I'm be real, never looked at it. I just seen like the Ira and Scarlet part, seen the red, and never, chose to continue. But today we have our deck tech. Today is going to be Monday. This is the week of Worlds, and Ira will be releasing the day of the calling. Wait, those are... Actually, I don't remember if the calling is day 1 or day 2. I believe the calling is day 2, like it normally is. But pretty much, she won't be legal for Worlds, but she will be legal for the calling. And there will be a bunch of people playing Ira. This is a hero in CC that's been highly anticipated. There have been comments before, like, you can never release a CC Ira, it should be too broken. Or, if you release a CC Ira, everybody will just play her because she's too basic. And, like, everything in between, right? And I think some of it's true. I do think Ira's ability is strong in a vacuum. I do think that her playstyle is very akin to what a lot of players like in Flesh and Blood. That kind of give and take, finding micro wedges kind of style. Will it play out like that long term? Not sure. But today we're going to have two different deck techs. We're going to have a very traditional mid-range version of Ira. One that can really play really good 2-card hands, has the ability to pivot into an aggressive, has the ability to be even more defensive than it naturally is. Kind of on the same show with a little bit of help from the sideboard. The one issue you're going to see when you're looking at Ira when it's going to get started is her equipment sucks when it comes to defense. I don't know about you guys, but this is like the fakest 6 blocking equipment that I've ever seen in my life. So can anyone tell me when you're gonna block with any of these things besides bouncing blows? When are you gonna block with any of this? You're gonna block. What are you gonna do? Block with Tunic? Someone's gonna snatch and you're gonna be like, block with card plus Tunic. Yeah, this is never gonna happen. So that's gonna be the first thing that I want to talk about with Ira. Is your equipment is not helping out when it comes to defense. Most of your defense is just going to come from your main deck, the ability to de-react and play things like, obviously, like the Flick Flack to boost your cards down the line. If you're on a build that plays things like Sigil or Counter Blessings, you have effective techiness, but none of it is going to come from your equipment. Now, yes, technically, these are Tiger Stripe Shuko and Mask Momentum are 2 blocks, which, in a pinch, if you desperately need to block something, you have it right there. Like, is that really what we're looking to do? Are we looking for Mask Momentum just to be an Ironhide? Ironhide? Yeah, Ironhide head. Are we looking for this to really be an Ironhide gauntlet? I don't think we are. I think we're trying to get multiple triggers out of Mask Momentum, a few triggers out of Tiger Stripe Shuko. Who blocks with Tunic unless they're gonna die? Right? There's not a great way to fix that without the equipment being broken. Either the equipment has to block really fucking well, like I'm talking about like Temper 3, but offer no actual upside, or it has to be this. Like if we actually look at it, Mask Momentum is actually an insane card. This is actually giga insane. All you gotta do is hit 3 times in a row, and you get your draw card once per turn. How many times do you realistically need to trigger this to be able to win a game? Especially with a deck like Ira, we're going to force people in weird spots. Also, having Mask Momentum here is just going to put a bigger squeeze on there. So let's go to the card by card. Obviously, Tunic to get the resource. There's nothing else to say. Like Tunic is just best in slot. I've seen people experiment with Skullcap and the Fortress. I think it's interesting. I think you get a good amount of block out there. If you're facing a wizard, you get good Spell Void, but realistically, outside of maybe a Cilio, when are you going to be lower life than the wizard to trigger the AB3? Now, if you're running Skullcap, Fortress, and AB3 still, I mean, to be fair, you're way too scared of Kano. Let me go ahead and tell you that. You're way too fucking scared. Because you gotta chill. But I cross-wrap. Like, let's think about cross-wrap. What are we cross-wrapping? CNC? And because the one big thing is in earlier builds, I actually enjoyed a lot of 2 costs in the deck. So I could go Kodachi, two calls. They usually came in for 7. 2 card 8, pretty good numbers. We like that. And especially if your opponent wasn't on things like D-Reacts, if your opponent wasn't on things like Recurable Block Limit like Dynamos, that 7 came in really nice, and that's where Cross-Draft can get you. The issue being, if you're going Kodachi into something, shouldn't you have mana floating anyway? So realistically, there's nothing else that can really go in this spot. And while LSS has tried to take people away from Tunic, they continuously print heroes and print cards that just go really well with Tunic. We're in 2 Kodachis, don't play Zephyr Neos, that's super fake by the way, it's super fake. Mask Momentum, obviously we talked about earlier, you hit 3 times in a row, you do get your draw card, very good. Pouncing Pulse, if you see people playing Snapdragon Scalers, tell them that they're trolling. I don't even think I have the main deck built to even abuse this card, but there are builds that can literally abuse Pouncing Pulse for the free material. Now, unlike Zen, this doesn't go to your hand because he has the Mystic Legs, but going to bench is still fine. I actually will skip ahead. There was a card, and I'll show you guys real quick, that actually confirm Pouncing Pulse is best. What? Oh no, yeah, we're doing this live. This card right here is a card that is currently not in the list anymore. But when CYB decks, if they become a thing that you should be doing again, and it becomes the best thing you can be doing, imagine a playline like this. You blocked out. You have 0 cards in your hand. And this is on the battlefield. You go activate Pouncing Pulse, make a Crouching Tiger by Mana Stone. Crouching Tiger for 0. You destroy this, banish all the CYBs from their deck. From their graveyard. Think about that interaction. That is an insane interaction. That is just something I wanted to highlight real quick. But that's just light. That's just one thing that you can do. Another thing this does is this makes anything in your deck that you want to come in for +1. Because you can go activate Pouncing Pulse, get a Tiger, send the Tiger, play anything else, boom, that instantly gets the +1. Alternatively, it can be the thing that gets +1. So if you want to go wider and ping your opponent for weird breakpoints, especially when it comes to things like Mask Momentum, you can go Kodachi, Crouching Tiger, Kodachi, and Norman's like, okay, that's weird. Why would he do that? Because usually you're told to block the second or third attack. Well, that means at some point you had to give me a card for the second or third attack. Because now, if I come in for like a 1-for-4, well, now I'm coming for a breakpoint, and you've already taken 3 damage. So, what type of trade are we going to be taking? Now we're starting to take really bad trades against the Ira deck, which is exactly what the Ira wants. And that's not even the most abusable thing that we can do. Just play the Pouncing Pulse, guys. Pouncing Pulse, very good. Shuko, a lot of times it's just a Blade Break too. Now, because of the ability, and again, talking about the Tigers, there are a lot of worlds where we can get this turned on. I usually turn it on about twice a match with normal play lines, and it usually comes from a Flex Claws hitting or something. I'm going Flex Claws, Tiger, or Flex Claws, Tiger, one of the blue attacks. Is that going to win you a game? Not all the time, but when you get to the very late game and you still have a Shuko, anytime something can come in for damage, anytime something can even come for extra damage, like a 1 becoming a 2, is still huge. Especially when your opponent's like sub 10. That extra 1 damage could literally mean a whole entire card that now has to be given up, when otherwise it wouldn't have been. I think this equipment suite is very good, it's just going to lack in blocking. Going on to the 54 card main deck. How this deck sideboards is you will take 6 cards from your sideboard, sometimes 9, but mostly 6, and add them to your deck depending on what your role is in the match. Now let's actually start with the sideboard. First we have 3 Erase Face, so there's a big debate between Erase Face and Weakest Link in this kind of deck. Even things like Amnesia. And I'll be honest, there has not been a sustainable difference in a Race Face and Weakest Link. They, some of it, it's like a Venn diagram. They can attack similar things, but they each also branch off and attack two different things. And there hasn't been much of a difference. Like, the games I would be winning if I had a Race Face, I probably would have won or lost the exact same way if I had a Weakest Link. It's just, the cards definitely, in one meta or another, one of these cards is definitely better than the other. But in this deck specifically, it didn't, like, I'm not, oh, I am now 10% more favored in this matchup now. Like, that was just never the case. I guess the one big argument over Weakest Link over Race Face is, well, Weakest Link is at least a 3 block, where this is a 2 block. You got that, I guess, but against decks like Viserai, on their hand structure, they actually won't be able to overproduce Rune Chants. Obviously, they have things like their auras to make Rune Chants, so will the Erase Face even always, like, get you there? No. That's why it goes back to what I'm saying. No card really felt like, oh, this is the card that's going to take this deck to the next level versus this matchup. It all kind of felt the same. Going on to our aggressive options, we have looking for a scrap and Razor Reflex. What these are here to do is this is a 1 for 5 going in. Rarely is actually ever going to be 4. This is a 1 for 5 go again. This is a 1 for 3 go again. But what it does, it can give cards that do not have natural go again. Or if you're talking about something like Mask Momentum, you're kind of in there. One of my favorite plays, and I get people with all the time, is I will go Kadachi, break Pouncing Paws, swing Crouching Tiger, and everyone does it the exact same way. They're like, well, it's coming for 0, why would I block it? Maybe they have like a Chase the Tail or something behind it, or a Breed Anger, and I just Razor Reflex it, hit him for 3, I get to draw a card. Happens way more often than you think. And for good reason, again. Like, you're not meant to play around cards like Razor Reflex. Sometimes Razor Reflex doesn't even do anything. But when people are the most relaxed on Razor Reflex is when it's the best. And like, there's so many different things you can do in this deck with Razor Reflex. Like, all of the 0 costs. Really good with Razor Reflex, talking about specifically the blues. You have a 3-card hand. You can go Kadachi, Torrent Tempo. Like, is that like the best one that you could ever see? No. But that Torrent Tempo is going to come in for 8. And those Kadachi are going to come for 3, so that's 11. That's a 3-card 11. Like, you're just barely getting under 4. Was it? Yeah, barely under 4 value card. Now, if you want to have even better examples, if you have things like Tunic, right? You can go Kadachi, have the 1 floating. You can send, anything you want. You can even Razor Reflex the fucking dagger. I've done that late game as well. And hey, then you get to Arsenal something. There's so many different lines that you can do because of Razor Reflex. On Censor, really good. I'd probably think the best one in the whole entire deck is actually Bittering Thorns. Because if you go Kadachi, Bittering Thorns for 5, your opponent's going to go, oh, I'll give you 2 cards. And then you Razor Reflect it up to 8, and then your next thing gets +1? Brother, ew. That's insane. And then you have like a push the point afterward? It just gets too good. It gets too good. So that's going to be our aggressive package. Our defensive package is going to be 3 cards. You usually can put the Wax On, the Wax Off in there, and sometimes Jar Domain if it's like a taller deck. Wax On, probably one of my favorite cards in the whole entire game. I played this a lot when I played Katsu in the Lexi meta. This card carried me in a lot of games. What this says, this is a 0 cost defense direction on the block for 3. So it's on rate with most other block cards in the game. But it says, while this is defending an attack action cost 0, it'd be really weird if we were in a meta where there's a lot of 0 cost, right? This has +2. So if this is just a 0 for 5, if they swing a 0, like, dude, imagine someone goes Snatch, and you just go Wax on block 5. Like, let's just look at our deck. We, because of this, are playing around it. Because one of the bigger reasons Wax On's become popular is because of Wax Off making the Zen State token. So, as Wax Off says, if you played Wax On this turn, create a Zen State token, which is... What the hello? There we go. If you would ever take a damage, you take one less. Because obviously when chance come in, you just don't take damage from them. So because people are going to be playing Wax On more often, and then Wax Off is on, we don't play a lot of zero costs. In fact, our zero costs are our fucking blue cards, which we aren't going to be throwing often. When it comes to our main deck, we're not hitting it. What are they going to do? What are they going to do? Wax Off Encroaching Tiger is coming for 0 or 1? Yeah, go right ahead. Yeah, like that. It's only one of the reasons that we're on such a growth. I mean, side reason is most of the red zero costs aren't great. Like, Aspect's cool, I guess. But, like, that's kind of it. Like, Aspect in a deck like this isn't even good because you're going to go send an attack, you're going to go Aspect, trigger Ira, make a Crouching Tiger, now your Crouching Tiger does nothing. You kind of have to, like, put other cards like Chase the Tail, Breed Anger, and all that stuff. You're going to do that kind of a build. And that all stems from you wanting to play some cute reds. Yeah. Yeah, these two cards, amazing. Obviously, again, against Runeblade, Sensei Token. Wow, very mint. Lastly, Territorial Domain. This is a card I don't see a lot of people talking about. This is sneakily like an insane card versus decks like Azalea, if they choose not to dominate something. Or if it's one of their turns where they just go 2-card hand, activate, Death Dealer, draw a card, activate Azalea, boom, here's a 5, dominate like a Red Ledger or something. And again, what we go back to earlier, we don't have a ton of good blocking equipment. Bro, you can just go, that's fine, Territorial Domain, activate Boots, get a Tiger, block for 5. I mean, that stops still have 8s too, right? You go card from hand, Territorial Domain from Arsenal. Now, right now, at the moment you're blocking 5, and they're like, oh, well, that doesn't do anything. And now you're like pouncing. And then now you're like blocking for 8, you're like, oh, sneaky stealthy. Sneaky stealthy block. Dude, you're gonna get people with this. At the end of the day, it's a fucking blue zero cost that pitches to Kodachis. Card's great, man. So let's go on to and we have Norn too, but I'm gonna be real, you're gonna like get shit on by wizards. It's just you at least need the AB1, and like you have protection versus something like Verdance or Acilio, like versus Kano. Like it's just this is not gonna do anything versus Kano, but you know, just don't play against Kano. Going into the 54-card main deck. Starting with the reds, we have Bittering Thorns. This is a 1/4. If this hits, it gets +1. This pretty much just gives something an Ire ability. This is... I'm super mixed on where I like throwing this in the chain. Do I like leading with it? Or do I like sending it second? So let's talk about leading with it. You're going to lead with this. Your opponent normally is going to have to give a card plus equipment or a direct, or they're going to eat it. I think you're fine with all of those things that happen. Obviously, if it hits, awesome. You're in there. This doesn't hit. It gets kind of weird because 2 value that you could have had, you just lost. Right? Well, I guess you only gained 1 value now instead of the 2. That's more of a proper way to say it. I just don't like leading with this unless I know my opponent's going to like de-react it and they can't de-react my next thing. But usually if that's the case, like I probably just played my play pattern wrong. I should have just sent like a Kodachi first, then the Bittering Thorns for 5, which is why I like throwing it second more oftentimes than not. I throw it second, it gets 5. Now it's 5. Now they have to give 2 cards. Now they have to give a D-Rack plus a equipment. Now the things change. Things change a lot. And if that hits, then you just get another +1. So you just got a second Ire ability. Very good. Censor is kind of weird in this meta where because the bigger the card pool and the more options a hero has to play, the worse Censor gets. But the fact that it comes in for 5 at 1 mana. You can always go Kodachi Censor. It's a 2-card 8. You're not angry at it. You're throwing 3 break points. It's a weird card also in the chain on, because if you go Kodachi it hits. Now your opponent has to figure out, like, wait, am I supposed to block this? Because if you do not block this, you get a card draw off a mask, and you have the potential just to gum up their hand. Censor, very good, but just you're gonna have to study the format to know what cards people are playing, and even still, like, people can kind of play a lot of different things. So, it's kind of sketch. CNC, one of the only 2 costs in the deck, allowing you to have some amount of disruption in this deck is very necessary. I've seen a lot of decks that are just going all value, no disruption, and you're going to lose those games. If you tell someone you're going to throw a math equation at them, they're usually going to say, I hate math, and just ignore you and then kill you. You need some ways to force them to interact with you. If they're also like a deck that's trying to just play the numbers game, stuff like, hey, people underestimate, like, you go in Kodachi CNC. If you have Tunic-Up, that's 9. That's a 2-card 9, which is already insane, and then Effect has Disruption, super insane. But also going Kodachi CNC for 7, that's 8 value. Still that's a 2-card 8. But now you're stapling Disruption, and it's on a breakpoint. The 7 breakpoint is like the weird one, because usually it's easy for people to go, oh, card plus what's it called? Equipment. Easy. I don't have to think about that. But now you're introducing like a 7, so now I just have to give an additional card. And, again, how people stop D-Rex a lot of times is D-Rex. They can't play D-Rex. So what is the correct answer to do if I go Kodachi CNC for 7? Either gotta take that or lay down some cards, and you were ecstatic about either. Next, what the fuck? Next we have Fate Proceed. I think Fate Proceed, and we're going to go to Sync as well. I think those are just good enough staples to always be in the main deck. There's not a ton of times where you're like, oh, I drew a CNC. Oh, God, no, please. It's just not a common thing. The card's good. They're good at filtering. They're good at... Because one thing you'll see, we're on 33 reds here. I wanted to add extra blues, but the issue is I just didn't like any of the blues I would have to add. And normally you should have a blue in every hand. If you have a few all red hands, it's fine. The deck is also built to appease all red hands. To talk about that very quickly, one of the all red hands that I actually really like is to go like pitch a red Bittering Thorns, pitch a red Censor, or pitch a red Flex Claws. Using that one, you'd probably leave off Flex Claws first. But like Push the Point is also really good when you have an all red hand, because people are less prone to actually block you when they see pitch a red for a 1 cost. It's kind of weird, because people might think, oh, he's going to do a go again into like Kodachi or something, because the Kodachi doesn't have go again, and you just get a lot of free value off the Push the Point. It happens way more often you would think. If you have double spinning Will Kick, it's just an all red 3-card 9 with recursion, so you're not even like that upset about it. Going on to another 1 cost, we have Flex Claws. This is going to create a Crouching Tiger on hit. Mostly what this is here for is to have go again options on big hands. I'll just be honest. It's not like we're going like, oh god, thank god we have a Flex Claws. We're in there, guys. It's just has go again, and it costs 1. it's it. It does come really well with Shuko and Ira ability, because if you can get like a Crouching Tiger at some point in the chain, and then you can go Flex Claws for 5, Shuko again. So like you go Pouncing Paws, Flex Claws, Crouching Tiger. That's not bad. Is that like absolutely groundbreaking and you're just gonna like nut all everywhere because you did that play? No, but it's trying to find value out of small things. I mean, a 2-card hand, like you don't even know if Kodachi's in that situation. You just go Flex Claws, number 1. Depending on how big your hand is, no one's really know what's going to come afterward. Number two, if they take it, they just take another damage for free. It's pretty much a 1-card 5 at that point. Sorry, a 1 for 5. Which is on par with other stuff in your deck. You guys see what's happening here. A lot of things are pretty much the same with just different skins. Flick Flack. This gives your next combo card almost said go again. This gives your next combo card plus 2 defense. This is really, really nice on someone's combo turn like a Zen or a fellow Ira or an Azalea that has go again. Like, their big combo turn, you can block 4, which is already good value. And then most of your combo cards block 3, so you're fine. So realistically, you gotta get to have a 2-card 9 on defense, which is pretty solid. 2-card 8 if it's a 2 block, but that's still fine. Getting 4 block out of your like random blue block 2 is crazy. It's those kind of things that we live for, baby. Humble, 2 for 6. Copy and paste everything I said for CNC and just replace it with it sleep darts your opponent for a turn. Push the point. Probably one of the later additions to this deck. While this is a card I always enjoyed in Ira, it just always felt awkward as another 2 block in the deck. That, if it's not turned on, is just a 1 for 4, which, yeah, it's fine, but because I can never really play in the middle of the chain, it's almost always going to be 4. And if I can extract more data out of other cards, I'm going to. But a lot of times, something on the chain will hit, and you will get an opportunity to use this. If you, I'll tell you what. A play I would go for, if I know for the first thing hit, one of my favorite thing is Flex Claws, make a Tiger for 1, push the point for 6. It's 11, which is kind of standard for a lot of your 3-card hands. It's still nice, because it's coming in weird chunks, like, you have this 4, and you're like, okay, then there's this 1, it's like, that's awkward, but that's fine. Then you have this 6, and you're like, oh, we're tall again. It's like, oh, what exactly are you supposed to do in that situation as the person defending Ira? There's almost no correct answer without you leaking some amount of damage. We were talking about Sink Below, Spinning Wheel Kick, copy and paste what I've said for every other 1 cost. Now, it being a 1 for 4 is kind of... It's not very Keckers, I'll tell you that, but it does have go again, so you can play it on big hands. It has combo. It also comes with itself, so if you have 2 in the hand, you can just throw both and get you a mini Ira ability. The last row is going to be Tornado Tempo. This is a 1 for 5 where it hits, it has go again. It's kind of what you're asking for. It's a pretty decent attack, especially if you're going Kodachi. That's just 8. That's what the deck is doing. It's why what Ira is really exceptional at doing. The average flush and button hand, if I just lay down all my cards, would usually be 12 value. Sometimes 13 with a D-React. This deck commonly gets to like 14, 15, 16, right? And just think about the hand where you go block 6, go Kodachi, that's 7, Kodachi, that's 9, here's 5, that's 14. If you treat like that the whole entire game, you're going to win that game. And if your opponent's getting 13, you're still winning that game. And again, this is a really good Razor Reflex target on a big hand, too. This can be this, you can go Kodachi this for 7, then your opponent has to block 10 to not get hit by the trigger. I like it. Going on to the blues, I'll be real, the blues are nothing special. All of them just have combo and come in for 1 for looking for a scrap. The exception being Dishonor, because I have foil Dishonors. I'll be real with you. It's the only reason I care. And then Warmongers. Warmongers is interesting this meta. So decks like Viserai that usually would get affected by Warmongers, are actually playing through Warmongers more and more nowadays. Either A, they're just taking a setup turn, or B, they're like, that's like really cool. I have this aura that says when I attack, I get fucking Rune Chant, and you're just like, oh, well that seems unfortunate for me, and they go like, it is, and they just have a normal turn anyway. It's what are you gonna do, man? What are you gonna do? It's just it's a squeeze that like the Runeblades can put on you. Now Azalea, most Azaleas aren't on Rabble anymore or E-Strike anymore. Is it something you have to look out for? Technically, yes. But I wouldn't be so concerned about it. It's pretty safe in a deck like Azalea. It's actually kind of decent into Warrior. Especially because I have they have pre-pumps. But like, am I literally looking to like Warmonger's a fucking Warrior? Not really. Are Warriors even played right now? Not really. Warmonger's a Victor is kind of like, no. So you're really coming in for Runeblades and kind of spraying and Azalea, which I think they're enough percent of the meta that it is acceptable. But hey, if it's not something you need to look at, just put another combo card in there. Put another combo card. Alright, next, let's go on to the other deck. So, closing thoughts on this one. I think this deck is very solid. Could I see myself playing this out of tournament? Yeah, I could see myself playing out of tournament. If no one's doing anything inherently unfair, I feel very favored at that point, as long as their damage is on Enigma. I've seen some people talk about CYB decks versus Ira. I've personally either been beating or having very, very close games as Ira into CYB decks, just because your Kodachis are really good, but you're not that fast, so I would probably look to bring some tech options if you know your players are on it. And some options that you have are obviously the Talisman I talked about. Where's it at? Gravekeeping. I think Gravekeeping is really good. It follows the same curve as your Kodachi thing happening. It's another thing that can raise Reflex. I think this card is very solid, but not necessary unless there's a ton of graveyard centric stuff. Actually, is that it? That might be it, actually. Yeah, that's probably it. But yeah, like, be careful with CYB decks. You probably want a Kodachi almost every turn you can, because if you just go for burst turns, they're just gonna block you and eventually play CYB. You really gotta like play that game attentively and really try to extract the most value you can out of every single hand. CYB decks are one of the reasons that we're also playing as many Go-Agains, is because if we're just stuck playing a mid-range D-Rack build and your opponent just plays CYB pass, you usually can't use all the cards, and you kind of just lose because you're starting to lose all the value that you're trying to gain in the first place. So let's move on to a more aggressive build. I call it the Zoomer build. Put the Keck in the bag, you know. So this is running the exact same equipment setup. Please don't play Zephyr Needles. The big difference here is running 6 EBTT. What even bigger than that says is you can only play this if you have dealt damage this turn. The red one says Op 3, the yellow one is Op 2. Then you reveal those cards on the top of your deck. The top card of your deck. If it has greater power than the amount of damage you've dealt, you get to draw it and make a Quicken token. So basically how it works in like real world terms, you go Kodachi, hit him for 1. You will EBTT. You will opt. Usually you're going to want to get like a red card, right? Because you're going to have the flowing mana. It's one secret reason that you could, like in the other build we run this honor, but in this build we're actually running a good amount of 2 cost. 2 power blues, because a lot of times we kind of also want to draw blue because of how aggressive this list is. And you just get to draw it and keep going, and now it has Go Again. And you get to go like Humble for 7 with Go Again, and your opponent goes like, wait, that's not fair. And you go, well, life isn't fair. And then you just go TEXD, you know? I think ABTT is amazing. But like, even the yellow just pitches to Kodachi. The yellow one just pitches to Kodachi. It's not even that bad. Leg Tap makes a prizing run here. Comes in for 4, and it's another thing that's secretly like, I've gotten a Leg Tap prizing knee thrust people. Hey, brings me back to the old days, right? And that's a 2-card 7, which, am I excited about a 2-card 7 if I'm actively losing some of those cards? No, but if it's Kadachi, that's 3 plus 7, then that's 10. So if we could get the Kadachis involved, we get 10 value, but we have to be able to get the Kadachis involved. But yeah, realistically, just 1 for 4. No combo and only block for 2 is a little bit concerning, but we're usually going to be okay. Looking for Scrap is in the main board. Razor Reflex, main board. And like I said, the only other difference really is like the blues. Like, so like we have Biting Breeze. In this build, and technically the other but 2, it's a 0 for 3 a lot of times. We're just trying to go Biting Breeze hits, Crouching Tiger, trigger Ira, trigger Shuko. That's mostly what we're going for here. Fine Center has exactly 0 attacks. 100 wins, and wins have turned to combo well together. We will definitely take that. And Rowdy Locals is a really funny card. Because you get to go, like, for example, you get to go Kadachi, Rowdy Locals. And then what does your opponent do? Like, go like, I'll block 3. Then you go, you just pumped it to 5. Or so you just pumped it to 4. And now your opponent has to go, oh, I guess I'll also D-react it. Or if they just straight up commit a D-react, they would commit a D-react on 2 block. Rowdy Locals is kind of cooking. It kind of cooks, I'm not gonna lie, bro. I'm not gonna lie. And it's a blue block through at the end of the day that also costs 0, so they predict Shikadachis as well. The only downside is it's not a May ability. But there have been times I'll go like Rowdy Locals, it'll hit, response to the trigger. If I didn't trigger mask, go like EBTT, draw, like make a quick draw a card, they discard a card. Oh yes, you wasted a card. But the fact that on demand, you can just conjure a card into your hand, and you're basically trading like your deck for their hand. It's like, what, the top of your deck for their hand? That's awesome. Because like, usually them discarding that card is worth more value to you than you drawing that card. Going on to the sideboard whenever it feels like it. Fate, Sync, Flick, Standard, Warmonger Standard. Nothing really special here. It's mostly just the additional aggressive options in the main board. Again, the EBTT kind of being what holds the blue together. While there is a good amount of stuff that has go again. It's mostly if you have a 2 cost in your hand, or you have like a Torment Tempo and you want to have a guaranteed go again. Lastly, it's really fucking it's really good for resources. So one thing that happens a lot. Let's paint a picture. Actually, let me go to draw 4. Let me see if I can find an example. Okay, this hand, right? We're super blue flooding this hand, right? Like, yes, can we just throw the 100 wins? I mean, with this hand specifically, like, unironically, the example I'd use, you could actually go 100 wins Rowdy Locals for 3. Now it's kind of awkward. And then they have to go, I guess I'll block, and then it becomes 5, and they go like, ah, shit, I guess I'll D-react it. And then you can go Kadachi Flex Close. Or you go Kadachi Arsenal Flex Close. Well, like, let's pretend that this is like a shitty blue, right? You go Kadachi Flex Clause, or you would start off with Flex Clause, but because we have the EBTT, you would rather have the guaranteed 1, because the issue is if they just take 4, you now have to find one of your 6s or your 5s, or your EBT doesn't do anything. So that's why it's safer to lead off with the Kadachi, unless you know like they're also a deck that would give you the 1 value, because realistically, if they block 3, they only block 2, really, because they're going to take 1 from this, and what they're going to do, block the fucking Crouching Tiger for 1? Yeah, okay, they're never going to do that, right? So, like, in this hand, you go Kadachi, EBTT, and, like, Resolution, or in the middle, doesn't really matter. And now you have the choice, because let's just look at the next 3 cards. you would see Rise Beneath Us, 100 wins looking for a scrap. You would just go to looking for a scrap, and now you can go looking for a scrap, Flex Claws, or looking for, or Flex Claws looking for a scrap, doesn't really matter. Or you could even bottom all three if you really wanted to try to high roll. We would have got Tornado Tempo. So now we can go Flex Claws, Tornado Tempo. It just extends so many things. And it also gives things guaranteed go again. Like, let's just start looking like in this hand, right? In this hand, like, this is just a perfect setup hand for an EBTT. Because you would go, like, for example, you'd go Censor pitching this. Let's say it was an Arsenal. You'd go Censor pitching this. You'd Razor Reflex it for 8. No, sorry, actually, hold on, sorry. You wouldn't do that. I'm actively trolling. In this spot, actually, let me see, what would you do with this hand? Oh, this hand sucks. If you had an EBTT in Arsenal, what's like the most likely thing you do? Wait, are we just cooked? Oh, no, here's what we do. We would probably pitch the Censor to the push the point. Well, I just told you earlier, you don't really want to do 4s. We're kind of forced to do it here. You could go EBTT. You could probably hit. So we would miss there. I guess if we bombed all 3, we would hit the Tornado Tempo. And we would just be set up for next turn. So like that wasn't the best one. But like, let's just use this one. Let's say we had EBTT in this hand. We'd do a Kodachi, 2 floating, EBTT. Obviously, let's just pretend there's one of our 2 power blues here. We would draw it. We have 2 resources floating. We go Kodachi. We go finish with Kodachi. Spinning Will Kick, Bittering Thorns, Tornado Tempo. We literally get to play our whole entire hand. While swinging Kodachi twice. So that'd be 1, 3, 7. Let's just pretend this doesn't hit for some reason. 7, 11, 16. Like, while yes, air quotes, that is a 5-card 17. Because the EBTT, like, replaces itself and all this stuff, and because Kodachis were part of it, like, yes, like, we did have to use a lot of cards to do it. But, like, think about how big of a turn that is. We can even make it even better. Let's block. Let's block with Spinning Will Kick and Tornado Tempo and have EBTT in Arsenal. And let's put that 2-cost blue, or we can put a red, it doesn't actually matter. But let's give ourselves a red in this case. Let's actually, here, to make it simple, because I don't want it to fucking click off and stuff. Let's say we block a Spinning Will Kick and Tornado Tempo, but Tornado Tempo is also the top card of our deck for whatever reason. We could go Harmonize Kodachi, and then we could go EBTT. What that does, well, yeah, like, you kind of want to throw the Bittering Thorns in that spot. You're not going to know, like, what's on top. But having the guaranteed value here, we would go Kodachi, Tornado Tempo for 6, Bittering Thorns. That's pretty solid. That's a 3-card 11. Again, we're just under that X value. And mind you, we blocked 6 on that turn cycle. So, well, we blocked 5. So that's what, 5 block plus 1, 7, 11. That's 17 value. This hand, if we had an EBTT, produces 17 value. That's insane. Let's keep going. Let's look at this hand. Let's say there's an EBTT in Arsenal. Let's look for a blue in this one. We would go pitch a blue, swing Kodachi, 2 floating, EBTT, grab a blue, CNC for 7, go again. Excuse me. CNC for 7, go again. What the fuck, are we KO or some shit? And that's not it. That's not it. We've already swung 8 at our opponent. Then we're going to go looking for a scrap for 5. That's 13. And then we're going to humble him for 19. That's 19 value. We just sent Disruption twice. We sent Disruption twice. And it gets even better, like I said earlier. Let's say you want to block. Let's block with fucking I don't know. Let's block with the Command & Conquer and the Humble, because we hate our lives for some reason. And let's just say we find a really good red on top of our deck when we go Kodachi. So now we can go looking for scrap. Now it's going to have go again. It is what it is. And then we get to throw another card. So now we got to block 5. And let's just say it's a 1. Let's say the flexible, so it's a 1 for 4. We got to block 5. Gonna go Kodachi. That's 6. Looking for a scrap. That's 11. Another card. That's 15. That's 15 that we just got. This is how you're consistently going to hit that 14 to 15 plus range every single turn. With this, like, this version puts up even better numbers than the first one. The first one has a little bit more defensive power, but this one has like, really solid offensive power. Like, I'm not saying we're gonna have like burst turns, like, I don't know, like a Zen or like other ninjas. I'm like, we put up fucking numbers in this deck, and we can get them on both sides of the table consistently. Like, I don't know what I'd rather play in real life, because this one I will say has a little bit of flaws. The not having the D-Rex in the main deck, because you're going to have to like take out some really good cards that you're not going to want to... Because like this deck is more built around EBTT, and like consistently resolving an EBTT. Like, does the deck flop if you have to take out 6 EBTT and like something else? Or just the EBTT and have the 9 fucking D-Rex? Like, are you going to lose the game because of it? No. But again, the way this is built is here to abuse it. And if we're not here to abuse EBTT, a lot of this deck starts to not, like, really work well. Like, do we really want all this stuff in the main deck with no defensive power? Or, sorry, nothing to work off of it? Not really. Like, this deck wants to take advantage of almost every hand that it can. Heck, it even likes throwing its blues. And if we're taking away the EBTT, that's awkward. Bro, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you something else I've done before. I'll tell you something else I've done before with EBTT. I've really drawn other parts of these combo lines. I've went 100 wins, EBTT, 5 wins of eternity. I'm like, wow, that's fucking cool. On like a small fucking hand. I think there was a game where I literally think I had 100 wins and exactly EBTT, the yellow one. I went 100 wins, hits for 1, EBTT, 5 wins of eternity. Now that's swings for fucking 5. That's a 2-card 6. And all I did was have 2 blues in hand. You're getting 6 value from your fucking blues with EBTT. I love this deck. Again, the only thing I'm not 100% sure of is probably... So for me, I think Ira can never really be a top 3 deck in the format. Like, I don't think it's one of the best 3 things you can be doing. But I don't ever think it falls below like 8 or 10. Like, I can't imagine it ever being that bad, but I don't know if it can ever be that good. Time will obviously tell. As far as predictions go for week 1, technically being Worlds Week and then the week afterward, I'm combining all that in 1 week. I think we're going to see a little bit of noise from Ira. Hey, there might be one maybe in the top 8 of the calling, or maybe a 1 and in. It'll probably do well Army. I think at the Army level, I think this deck is amazing, actually. For people that know me, I play a lot of D-Gen decks. Even at Army sometimes. I'm actively going to be playing this at Army like 2 to 3 weeks out of every month. One, because I used to think this deck was super boring, and sometimes it is, and it's like a little spreadsheety. But when you're on this specific build, this one right here, rather than the other one I showed you, the deck actually has complex playlines, always trying to extract the most value that you can out of each hand. It promotes a lot of fun gameplay. And I think at the very least, you're going to get to have that. And also, no one can complain about Ira. Ira is like one of the most fair heroes, one of the most straight up, face up heroes that you'll ever see. So don't complain about this hero. I got a little bit rambly there towards the middle and end, but we brought it back together, guys. If you guys enjoyed this video and you want more deck techs, like, subscribe, comment down below, guys. We'll see you next. It's been your boy Syphon from Syphon TCG. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.